The rain had come the night before, and everything felt like a taste of winter in Paris. I could smell fresh air rushing through my lungs as I ran through the streets of Lagos that morning. My skin felt fantastic, and my mind was receptive to the kind of peace that you could find in a park or a cemetery. There were no traffic, no noise, and everyone was still soaking up the beauty that the rain had brought. I was feeling light and happy, like a once-in-a-blue moon blessing. And then, the unthinkable happened. Hi, my name is Uncle Don, and you are listening to This Thing in the Mud. Before I could leave home that morning, I was scanning the heavens for a ray of brightness. It had been my whole cigarette consciousness that had been in play. On a typical day, I would run till the cloud released its beauty and brightness. However, a few days back, Henry, a college friend of mine, had sent me an intriguing WhatsApp message that stated that kidnappers were out to target early morning fitness persons on the road. He begged that I be cautious on the road. Now, while I contemplated those remarks, I wondered if Henry was attempting to win the wager that we had made for me to lose 15 pounds in a month, or if he was simply having my back. On a second thought, it almost felt like in the business side of thinking for this man of the underworld that he spoke of, that being active and losing weight in Nigeria was exclusively for the wealthy, or maybe the middle class. My alarm had been beeping non-stop since 5 a.m. that morning, until I turned the damn thing off. It wasn't just because I had a ransom to pay another hustler. I was just too lazy to get up. But when the alarm kept its pace 10 minutes into my sleep, I recalled that I had an exercise routine to conquer. I stepped out onto the road and went for a run. A used condom with its contents still intact found my eyes. It was on the roadside, adjacent to an abandoned trailer parked next to a nightclub. A pair of female black pants, which looked like a slingshot, a pair of female shoes, and a carton of cigarettes were left on the ground. My heart stopped for a split second, and the tempo of my jogging slowed to a crawl. For a moment, I felt as if I had just came in contact with some sacrifice material left over for some fetish ritual. As I got closer to the object, I couldn't jog well again. Alternatively, I thought of how stupid these persons involved in the act had been to leave such delicate stuff out to the public gaze. Were they apprehended in the act or forced to flee the scene? I pondered for a while. With the help of a decent dose of alcohol for the individuals, I would settle with the notion that nothing was impossible. When I returned to the location after running my usual distance, I noticed that the condoms, pants, shoes, and cigarette pack had vanished. I couldn't believe my eyes. It wasn't as though these folks had come to collect their belongings that bothered me the most. It was the overwhelming sensation that a girl had possibly played into the hands of another yahoo boy, and that someone was ready to make the rounds of night vigil and redemption camp, mountain of fire, and the likes, if you know what I mean. You see, as Nigeria never fails to prove you right in all of its low points, Twitter had gone ablaze 2 days after for a girl who was said to have been missing. She was 23 years old, and according to details, a junior lawyer in a law firm, a girl whom everyone said was a promising young star. After a round of searching, 3 days later she was found close to my street, where people said that she actually lived in. She was half-clothed with no shoes on, and everyone said that she was calling the name of a man repeatedly. The fact that she lived in my neighborhood coincidentally was pretty unsettling to me. See, my next-door neighbors confirmed that they knew her. She had been to a nightclub a few days prior but never returned. That afternoon, Glory Olande was confirmed mentally unstable. People said that she had been calling a strange name all along, and everyone knew what had happened to her. My sister put up a post the other day about a girl who was giving thanks for not being used for money ritual. And it made me remember this story that I just told. Now, if you live in Lagos and certain part of Nigeria, you will most definitely hear about the new methods of making money by internet fraudsters, aka yahoo boys. I call it a new pandemic in town, and something that will affect us in the long term if not checked. You see, when a particular way of life is allowed to thrive in a system, it is so much harder to get rid of it completely. Recently, concerned about the rise in ritual killings in Nigeria, the House of Representatives has called for a national emergency to be declared on the issue. This is one of the resolutions reached by lawmakers on the motion of urgent public importance, and it is titled "The Need to Curb the Rising Trend of Ritual Killings in Nigeria." But this is my take. You see, back in the days, money ritual was not so much a thing for young people in Nigeria. But the boldness and the audacity to plunge into this part is something that is baffling now. I have heard that the lifespan of a money ritualist is quite short, and sometimes they even tell those carrying out the act that they're going to die soon. Yet, they still boldly take the step. For goodness sake, take a step to Jesus or Allah. The question is, what will make a young man want to shorten his lifespan for wealth? I mean, what is it? Have we had too much excesses thrown at us as a society that we feel left out of the party? Well, to an extent, someone will say yes, because the inequality part is widening every day. Parents are no longer concerned like before because even they are feeling the heat. They want to see their kids get lifted out of poverty, even though they sometimes fall victim of the same scheme. And so, if the government are genuinely concerned about the state of ritual killings in Nigeria, the data is clearly showing that these young men are losing patience in the system. The talk about unemployment is not a myth, and the earlier the government gets these people engaged, the train will get closer and closer, even to their doorstep. Have a wonderful day. If you enjoyed this week's episode of This Thing in the Mud, don't forget to subscribe, drop us a comment on all our social media handles. See you next week. Ciao. This Thing in the Mud, storytelling at its very best.